Hey there, listeners. This is Terry Cowley, your host of the R.M.Williams Outback podcast. Thanks so much for being here and welcome to Season 3. Michael Williams was the master craftsman in the R.M.Williams workshop. Prior to that, he spent more than 35 years in the boot workshop. These days, he's somewhat retired, leading tours around the Adelaide workshop on a regular basis. For those many people still fascinated by what goes into making R.M.Williams products. Thanks for joining me here today, Mike.
You're welcome.
Hope you are very well. Most companies don't do tours. Most companies would probably be boring to tour. What is it about R.M.Williams that makes people want to look behind the scenes at how the products are made?
Well, I think it's because it's such an iconic brand. When they do come through, they're just so blown away with actually what goes into making a pair of boots. Not just a pair of boots, what goes into making the craft products, what goes into making the clothing. When they leave here, they are absolutely blown away with what they see. And with the tours, they get a really up close and personal to the operators as well, and they get a really good insight into what goes into them.
Who are you taking around the workshop?
I take people from different companies. I've just finished one this morning, 18 people from Volvo from around Australia. A lot of companies have their groups that do well. You know, if they're top of their sales, they bring them to Adelaide, and as recognition for their hard work, they tour around R.M.Williams. And basically, with the Taylor Tour company, it offers people the half-day experience of R.M.Williams. I get singles coming through, I get couples coming through, you get groups of up to 25 people coming through. People coming in from interstate, overseas, all walks of life.
How do you start off? What do you say?
When they come to the workshop, because we've got two sites now, we've got the site directly behind Frost Road, which is the old air conditioning site. We start there, and in that site we have craft, clothing and footwear repairs. We take them through and show them how the craft is being done, solid belts, combined belts, plaiting, all aspects of the craft that they're shown that. Then we take them through the clothing, see how jeans are being made, how shirts are being made. Take them through the footwear repair area. They see how all the footwear repairs are being done, 500 pair a week, so they're blown away with watching a pair of boots being stripped basically down to the bare minimum and restarted again. And then they're driven around the corner, 2-minute drive around the corner to the Frost Road workshop, where we've now got the 3 separate boot lines operating. What we do in the craft and clothing is we let the team leaders do that. I take them through the repair room, and then I take them through all the footwear repairs. I mean, after nearly 42 years, I sort of I know footwear like the back of my hand. So no, it's really good, and I enjoy doing it because my whole wife's family have been involved in R.M.Williams for many, many, many years. So it's in the blood, and I also get to come back and see the changes that RMs are making over the years, the expansion, the growth, all that type of thing, and also get to catch up with some of the old mates from many years ago that I worked with. So no, it's good. I enjoy it.
Do you do this all without notes? Are you a bit of like the company's walking encyclopedia?
Yes.
I should have known. Mike, we're going to wind it right back now to even before your R.M.Williams journey. You started here in 1976. Listeners might be able to hear the faintest of accents there. So I believe you came out at the age of 7 from England as a 10-pound pom.
Correct.
Straight to Adelaide?
Straight to Adelaide.
You finished school in 1976. How did it come about that you ended up taking a job at R.M.Williams?
A mate of mine who I went to primary school and high school with, played soccer with, probably my best mate at the time, he got a job at RM because his brother worked here as well. So he left school right at the beginning of 1976, got a job at R.M.Williams, and he rang me because I started here in the February of 1976. I'd only just gone back to school. He rang me and said they're looking for people at R.M.Williams. I said, oh, okay.
So what year would you have been going into?
Matriculation. I came in for an interview and was successful and started here on, I believe it was February the 10th of 1976.
So you started as an apprentice
Yep.
and you went all the way through to the head of production. Tell us, I know it's very hard to encapsulate that many years, but just tell us a bit about your journey through the boot making, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Well, I, as you said, did a 4-year apprenticeship,
What was your apprenticeship exactly in?
boot making. So I was an apprentice bootmaker just outside of Adelaide. They had a college there that I did 2 years at the college and then 2 years basically hands-on in the workshop, which is your 4-year apprenticeship. When I came out of that, I was predominantly in the finishing department. So for 13 years, basically, I did all of the finishing.
You might need to explain finishing to the layperson.
After the heels and soles go on, the finishing process involves scouring the heel down to shape. So shaping the heel, shaping the sole, putting edge stain on the heel and sole, buffing the soles up, putting the sole stain on the bottom. You know, the finishing process is really bringing the boot to the floor, I suppose you can call it, making it that really saleable product. So I spent 13 years doing that. I then applied to be a spare man. So what I mean by spare man was that to go into other departments of the factory, of the workshop, if people were away, I would learn the job and fill in for that person. So that gave me the skills in not just finishing, but it gave me the skills in soling. I didn't know all of soling, but I knew how to lay soles on the bottom of the boot. I knew how to trim them down. I didn't do any sole stitching, but I did sole levelling and heeling and those types of jobs on the soling line. I also did jobs on the making line as well, including welt stitching, tacking on insoles, seat lifts. So I was able to do a lot of the production when I was made footwear manager in 1996. If I didn't know how to do it, I knew what the process involved. So in 1996, when I was made footwear manager, I had a really, really good understanding of all the departments as well, not just finishing, which I spent 13 years in, but I had a very good understanding in all the other areas as well.
When did you become a master craftsman, as they call it? Because, of course, that means you were signing the bottom of boots, weren't you?
Yes, that's right. Well, I would say, Terry, that my master craftsman title, along with Matthew Howson, because he was also the master craftsman at the same time, I would probably say 20 to 25 years of my 42 would have been as a master craftsman. I would say around about that time. Once I had a really good understanding of how everything went together and was able to do not everything. I must admit I was never able to do everything, but I was able to do quite a bit of it. So yeah, I would say a good 20, 25 years as a master craftsman. And then once the signature craftsman boot was developed, signature craftsman boot being a very, very high-end boot at the time, and well, at the time still is, French veal calf uppers, very, very fine stitching around the elastic and down the back seam, V-stitching down underneath the back tub. V-stitching was done many, many years ago when RMs first started making boots and then went out. And then, so we thought, what could we add to the signature craftsman that was done many years ago? So the V-stitching down the back of the tub was introduced as well. We did 3 applications of the sole stain and spray to give the sole, that leather sole, that beautiful, deep, rich, orangey, burnt orange colour. The signature plaque was put on, and then we would personally inspect every single pair of signature craftsman boots, and if we were happy with them, we would sign them, and then they'd go out. But they had to be perfect.
Absolutely. So it must have been a good feeling to know that all those extra little touches and then your signature you're putting on there, and people are really obviously responding to that by spending even more money to get that special product.
That's right, yeah.
French veal calf. So obviously we're talking about newly born, very young cows. Why are the French ones so special?
Leather out of France, leather out of Italy is just such a beautiful product.
Is it partly the way it's treated?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, people ask why we don't use Australian hides. It's all to do with the fibre structure as well as the way that the animals are treated, what the animals are roaming in. A lot of the fibre structure of Australian cattle isn't suitable for what we use it for.
I've got here 180 boots a day were being made. I'm not sure if that was when you started. How would you have seen that production of boots per day increase?
Well, when I first started, it was probably even less than 180, but they're up to 1,400 pair a day now.
It's incredible. That just boggles the mind, doesn't it?
It blows me away. But when you see the extent of what they've done as far as how they've grown the company, R.M.s have been really fortunate that directly behind them, the Frost Road site, is the climate technology site, and they're able to pick departments up and move them and not move them out very far away. Everything used to be under the one roof here at Frost Road. Distribution was picked up and moved around the corner to the old Michelle's wool processing plant. So Michelle's wool processing reduced in size, so we were able to take a lot of that space. So distribution was picked up and moved there, which we were able to move other departments into where distribution came from. Then in the last 2 years, with the climate technology site right behind us becoming available, craft and clothing, footwear repairs, all that's been moved over behind, which has now opened up this whole Frost Road site to footwear.
So when you say climate technology, is that what it used to be used for? Is that what you mean?
Climate Technologies used to be, it was a Bonaire air conditioning site. So Climate Technologies is still there, but on a much smaller scale. R.M. has taken over the majority of the space. That's how the production has gone, through the roof, basically.
Yes, and that's not an easy thing to do because you have to train all those people up, don't you?
Yes.
And it's been a really challenging labour market. So the fact that they've been able to do that in that climate is quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Because there's no such thing as trade school anymore, they're bringing in, they advertise for people, they bring them in, they put them on a probationary period over a 3-month period. Some make it, some don't. Those that do make it are now they're almost set up like their own little apprenticeship program. They're taking them through the different departments, showing them different skills and that type of thing, putting them into the workforce in that way. So they are being looked after by some of our most experienced people.
So without R.M.Williams, a lot of those skills would actually be disappearing, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
Okay. In a previous article I wrote about you, we talked about you almost stealthily jumping back on the boot finishing line because that was your favourite part. I'm just wondering if you can take me back to the finishing line and expand on that a little bit more about those sort of feelings and that kind of satisfaction in doing that work.
Every area is very important, as you can imagine. When you're making a pair of boots, every area has got their importance. But I've always had this thing in me that the finishing department, they take it through the final processes. And as I said before, they scour the heel down to shape, they trim the sole, they really take it through those final processes to make it look, like really, really nice. It obviously comes out of departments at different stages, but that the finishing and socking side of things, where they do the polishing and the buffing and all that type of thing, when you see a boot coming off the soling line, that's the boot, but then it goes through those processes. And I remember, even as the factory manager, when people were away and they needed help on the line, I would go, put the apron on. Matthew Howson was the same. Don the apron, get on the finishing line, do some trimming, do some scouring. And the guys really appreciate that as well. The guys that are on the line, they wouldn't expect like the managers to get on and help out. But we did. That was part of the job.
Keeps your hand in, doesn't it? Retains your skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, it really just gives you that thrill that when you take a boot from that stage to that stage and you look at it, you think, oh yeah, that's great craftsmanship.
You mentioned earlier your family connection. It's wide and it's deep, and I know it's changed over time, but tell me about your family connections with R.M.Williams. It might not be what some people think given your last name.
No relation whatsoever to R.M., but I met my wife at R.M.Williams. She started in 1973, and she was in the first workshop down on Prospect Road, just around the corner from Percy Street. So she started there. but she left school just before she was 15, and her mother got her the job there because her mother and her sister was working there at that time.
This is Kimbra. What was the name of the mother and the sister?
The sister was Linda and her mother was Barbara. Her mother, Barbara, was the team leader of, back in those days, they were called leading hands. She was the leading hand of the closing room. So Linda was working there. So Kimbra started working there as well. So when I was still at school, Kimbra used to hang around with my older sister quite a bit. So I knew her before I started at R.M.Williams. So when I started at R.M.Williams, I knew her, not really that well, but just I knew her face and I knew her to talk to. One thing led to another, and years down the track, I proposed to her here at R.M.Williams.
Okay, you can't gloss over that. Tell me about the proposal. Where was it?
So the girls in the closing room would eat their lunch and smoker and all that. So they'd all sit in a little group. This one day I plucked up the courage to come inside, got down on one knee in front of her mother, in front of about 5 or 6 other workers.
Brave.
Very brave, very brave. And I proposed to her at work. So, and thankfully she said yes. But if I go back to her family involvement at R.M.Williams, her mother ended up doing 30 years at R.M.Williams. She did about the last 5 or 6 of those years as a casual. Her father did 15 years at R.M.Williams as worked in the maintenance department. She had 3 sisters that worked here, Linda, Karen, and Julie. The 3 of them worked here probably for a combined 20 years. So Kimbra, when she retired at the end of the year before, so I think she retired in 18 months ago. She is the longest serving female at R.M.Williams.
So how many years did she have in the end?
Just on 51.
Wow, that's impressive. Was she the last of her family?
Yes.
Bit of the end of an era, because you'd already left the building, but not left the building.
Yes, yeah. And then my daughter, she worked here. She did about 18 years.
I love the way you say that. It's like, it's almost like you're going to say 18 months, but no, 18 years. Just a little blip.
Yeah, that's right. The main role towards the end was burnishing. So she was the one that was applying all the burnishing to the burnishing stain to the burnished boots.
And I mean, we're talking about family, but yeah, you've got very, I would imagine, long-time friends that have been there for so many years as well.
Just lifetime friendships. I know it's just a cliche, but it's the people that you work with as well. I mean, every workshop there's 400 odd people here now, but back in the day, every workshop had, the ones that would always whinge and complain about different things, but the majority of the people are fantastic. And that's what sort of like brings you to work. One of the reasons that brings you to work all the time is catching up with these people. It was one of the biggest things I missed when I retired. I thought it would be easy. Let me tell you, once I retired and Kimbra was still working and I was at home by myself, I used to come into work every morning with, all these people surrounding me. I had no one. I mean, you obviously get over that, but it was one of the biggest things that I missed when I retired. Just that interaction with people. And when you talk about what makes it a great place to work, I think that is a big part. Being an iconic brand that people all around Australia and around the world have heard of, and being part of producing that beautiful product. Like I said, it's in the blood, and I love being able to showcase everything that these people do. And like I said before, people on the tour really get up close and personal to all the operations, and they really appreciate the fact that at the end of it, they've seen how a pair of boots, how a pair of jeans. So many people say about how their boots, how they've sent boots in before and how they've been repaired. Now they get to see how boots are repaired.
And you're really enjoying that aspect?
Yes, yeah, it's still there.
How do you feel about, just probably in summary, how do you feel about the brand now? I mean, we've obviously established that in terms of working at R.M.Williams in Adelaide, it was a fantastic place to work, fantastic people. How do you feel about the brand now? Because I guess all the brands have to evolve or they die, and it does sometimes look to be going in different directions. It has to, I guess, to survive. How do you feel about the brand now, and what does it mean to you now? Because I'm guessing you still think I can see a little longhorn on your shirt. So you're still wearing the clothes, no doubt wearing the boots, so you've got that connection. How do you feel about the brand now, and what does it mean to you?
The brand is getting stronger and stronger. This isn't a brand in decline. This is a brand that's getting stronger and stronger. Now, for instance, just to put in a third boot line to make ladies' boots, some of the development they're doing with different leathers and different, the burnish that they introduced with being able to apply different coloured dyes to a crust leather to be able to basically make it as a made to order to basically whatever colour you wanted back in those days. In answer to your question about the brand, it is really getting stronger and stronger. And 1,400 pair of boots a day, 1,200 solid belts a day, 200 or something combined crop belts a day. 52 retail stores across Australia, whatever it is, 52, 55, international stores. That in itself speaks for how strong the brand is.
And even with that great volume, it does seem that people still can't get enough of those products you mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah, so no, it's a brand that is definitely strong, getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
This is probably an area I'm most interested in, given that I work for Outback and we're very much in that rural, regional and remote space of Australia, in our heads, if not literally, all the time. So obviously the brand started as very much, an Outback brand, and it was called the Bush Outfitter. It's not specifically called that anymore. Is it a challenge, or how do you think we navigate that, sort of really respecting our bush roots but looking to the future and looking to, I guess, new markets?
When I look at what's been coming through the development areas, I don't think they've ever forgotten the bush roots. They're maintaining the screwing machine, which gives you that more heavy-duty type work boot. Just today, when I was taking the tour through there, there's a lot of like the heavy-duty treaded rubber soles being made. So it's not all about having dress craftsmen being made. There's a lot of that type of footwear.
Everyday sort of.
Yes, yeah, and the clothing, that type of thing. I don't think the clothing's ever, forgotten its bush roots with what they make as far as the denims and that type of thing. So yeah, I think there's still there's a lot more of the city type boots being made, but they haven't forgotten that the country roots.
So what of the future for you? You'll continue to do your tours?
I will continue to do the tours as long as they want me to do the tours. Yeah. So, and I do believe, I don't think I'm speaking out of school here. They're looking this year as to open it up, the tours more open up to the public. People will get this insight on how boots are made, how craft is made, and how clothing is made.
So do they get a chance to purchase products at the end of the tour?
Yes, yeah. So taken around, if they want to, they're shown where the factory shop is, and then after that, they're then taken down to Percy Street and fitted into a pair of boots.
I mean, I would imagine a lot of people who come to see how they're made already have a pair of boots, but maybe they need another pair.
Yeah, exactly right.
If they've got brown ones, maybe they need black ones.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. They're also showing the museum down there as well.
Any final words of wisdom, with all your years at the company?
Look, as far as RMs go, I wish them all the best. They're going gangbusters at the moment.
All right, well, thank you so much, Mike. I wish you all the best for the future, and thank you so much for talking to me today.
No worries, Terry. Thanks very much for having me.